Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the exceptionally rare fire-type Pokemon Fennekin, its equally rare evolution Braixen, and its final, equally rare fire psychic-type evolution Delphox, the three collectively known as the Fox Pokémon. Feisty on all occasions and more than able to make good use of their natural powers to dazzle and devastate others, the members of the Fennekin family are potent foxes that can make great use of both fire and psychic power to take out whatever dares to confront them.
Fennekin have small quadrupedal bodies covered in thick yellow fur, with only a few small toes on each of their feet, and a large bushy tail that comes to a red point at the end. Their large heads feature white fur in the lower part of their face with side whiskers, having a pointed black nose, large red eyes, and a pair of massive ears that are stuffed with thick red hair that fills them and extends past them to the outside. Their evolved form, Braixen, have bipedal bodies now with black fur covering the hips down to the three-toed feet, with yellow fur that has a skirt-like form to it at the hips, as they further feature a much larger tail, which always has a branch of some sort stuck into it. Their white arms and neck have a shorter collar of white fur now, the nose having turned red in color, and their ear hair mats have become even larger in size than before. Their final evolution, Delphox, have much larger frames and feature an exceptionally thick coat of red fur over the legs and arms, with some orange fur patterns being seen near their thighs, with a thick yellow tail and more yellow fur that covers the sides of the upper torso and neck. The fur in their ears has grown dramatically in size, and they can further be seen holding a lit branch at almost all times, with which they focus and use their special powers in combat.
The members of the Fennekin family are among the more luxurious of fire-type starters, and are often adored by women for their luxurious fur and adorable appearances. In fact, some may say they are almost as elegant as the members of the Vulpix family, though this tends to be a controversial position to take in the world of Pokemon fashion, and is hard to prove sometimes given their scarcity, a consequence of the skewed gender ratio of 8 to 1 in favor of males.
Much as with other fire-type Pokemon, Fennekin possess a flame sac inside their bodies that allows them to spew fire from their forms in the form of attacks like Ember. However, while most young fire-type Pokemon are able to regulate their already high body temperatures by expelling hot air and steam out of their bodies, in the case of Fennekin, they are unable to do this with their respiratory system due to the unique anatomical location of the flame sac, which is just below their ears. To compensate for this, Fennekin breathe hot air out of their ears instead to regulate their body temperature. In order to protect their fur from being damaged by this heat, Fennekin possess large tufts of hair in their ears that act to absorb most of this thermal energy, in turn protecting the rest of their coat from being scorched by the intense heat, which can reach temperatures of up to 309 degrees Fahrenheit. When Fennekin evolve, the genes in their bodies that control the exhibition and creation of psychic powers finally start to activate, allowing Braixen to finally gain access to some psychic-type attacks like Psybeam shortly after they evolve. Braixen share with Fennekin a need to use their ears to release hot air to regulate their body temperature, but this is not quite as much of a problem as before, as they are able to better regulate their fire-type powers naturally through other biological processes. Even so, Braixen can still be a bit of a fire hazard as they will still blast hot air out of their ears to intimidate others despite the fact that they are more than equipped to handle most opponents from a distance. As well as an increase in their special powers and agility, Braixen are noted as being much more intelligent than Fennekin and are able to actively strategize in battle in order to locate and target the weaknesses of their opponents without necessarily losing any ground. It is believed that this is helped by their appearance of weak but nonetheless usable telekinetic powers shortly after evolution, though the exact extent of the usefulness of these powers is still under debate. Progressing from there, Delphox are the ultimate expression of psychic power in the Fennekin family, and are so adept at using their psychic powers in battle that they are actually classified as partial psychic types. Delphox, along the legendary Pokemon Victini, is one of the few psychic-type Pokemon that solely specializes in pyrokinesis, but unlike Victini, this power is equally expressed within their natural psychic abilities alone, enabling them to easily harness the best of both worlds in battle. The branches that Fennekin snacked on and Braixen used as a signal flare have now reached the peak of the utility in Delphox, as they are used to focus and concentrate their psychic powers to create devastating attacks capable of blowing away most opponents easily. Much as in the case of Braixen when compared to Fennekin, Delphox are substantially more intelligent than their pre-evolved forms, so much in fact that they are often considered to rival the intelligence of humans. This similarity even extends down to the basic behavior, as Delphox are completely bipedal and prefer to hunt in battle using their front limbs much like hands. While the term magic is technically incorrect to use in the case of their abilities, little else can bring to mind the attacks and techniques these creatures are able to learn that are beyond their pre-evolved forms.
This feeds directly into their abilities as well the natural connection to the fire-type powers is intense enough for them to have access to Blaze as their only base ability. Those that are exceptionally gifted at using their magic at their disposal can also have Magician as a hidden ability.
As far as the stats are concerned, in the case of Delphox, these creatures are a bit lacking in the way of stamina and physical attributes, but the natural agility and special attributes more than make up for this, the base special attack, special defense, and speed stats being above average for fully evolved fire and psychic type Pokemon, and thus they can be quite the tricky beast to tackle without strong physical offenses on one side. Aside from their otherwise normal fire-type powers, Fennekin and their evolved forms are noted for being unique in that they actually are born with inherent psychic powers. The only real problem is that Fennekin normally do not gain access to them in the form of offense until they manage to fully evolve. Even so, their powers oftentimes lead them to use a particular form of food as a special snack, namely the twigs of poplar and especially willow trees. Later on in life, these foxes will learn to use these branches to amplify and concentrate their psychic powers to make them a devastating weapon on the battlefield, but at the moment, they are unable to do little but eat those branches. Even so, they are able to quickly burn through these twigs to create energy for their bodies, allowing them to recover fairly quickly from being heavily damaged or otherwise worn out in battle. Trainers should make note of this and be prepared to offer them any time they see that Fennekin is tired. This will prove to be especially important as they grow up, as it will eventually help to give them greater confidence and skill in using their dormant psychic powers once they are fully evolved.
While Braixen no longer munch on the branches of trees such as poplar and willow anymore, they nonetheless are noted as being much closer to these plants in regards to their use in battle.
Braixen try to keep at least a single branch from these tree types on them at all times, stuffed deeply into the thick fur surrounding their tail. The tail fur differs from the rest of their coat in that it is extremely abrasive. So abrasive in fact that the mere action of reaching around and struggling yanking on a branch can create enough friction to set it alight. Braixen take advantage of this by using the branches not only in battle as a deterrent to opponents in close quarters, but more importantly, as a signal flare in the wild. For reasons that are still somewhat uncertain, Braixen are quite caring of their fellow Pokemon and will often use these burning branches to mark their locations to others. This way, if another Pokemon is being attacked by a predator of some sort, they can run to the signal flare and find some much needed help in the process. Braixen have been known to do the same thing where trainers have lost, using the lit twigs as a source of light and heat for when the temperature drops and they are unable to find shelter outside the wild. These branches will eventually be put to a more offensive use as these foxes grow and develop into their adult forms, but even in this state, they show great skill in directing traffic and are occasionally called upon for search parties when a non-threatening form of light or heat is needed. In terms of techniques, the heightened intelligence and control over their psychic abilities that comes with evolution into Delphox allows these species to utilize the role-play and switcheroo techniques, while in the attack department, these mammals are able to utilize the devastating Shadow Ball and Future Sight attacks. It is also noted that immediately after evolving, these beasts additionally gain the ability to use a rare specialty move, the Mystical Fire attack. It might not have a lot of power behind it, but this nasty combination of psychic and fiery energy has the capacity to instantly lower the special attack stat of a target, allowing Delphox to make even greater use of their relatively high special offenses and defenses. Much like any other Psychic-type Pokemon, these creatures need a way of concentrating and focusing their psychic energy. As mentioned before, this comes in the form of a long branch from a poplar or willow tree. Keeping the distal end of the stick alight, these beasts can focus their power so well that they can unleash devastating blasts of energy from only a few seconds of deep focus. This has a twofold effect on these creatures. On one hand, this focus allows Delphox to push their psychic powers to the limit and effectively see into the future. This is an ability that is at least seen weakly within Braixen, but Delphox are especially gifted in this department and more than able to witness fairly accurate interpretations in and outside of battle, which can easily prove to be a game changer in just about any situation. Moreover, when Delphox focus their full concentration on the burning end of the stick they hold, it intensifies the flame and places these beasts in full sync with the fire itself, allowing them to control it with their willpower alone. By breathing large gusts of psychically controlled air at this fire, Delphox can generate massive vortexes of fire with scorching temperatures as high as 5400 degrees Fahrenheit, incinerating literally everything and anything that dares to get in their way. This kind of raw power is relatively rare among both fire and psychic types alike, and can certainly make these foxes devastating beasts to deal with, provided they can attack from a distance where it is safe.
I've always had a special fondness for foxes in my time in this world, and I have to say that the members of the Fennekin family are some of my favorites in both their aesthetics and their magical powers. Fennekin are really sweet and cute and sort of remind me of dogs with their rambunctious ways, not to mention the love of sticks. They can be really easy to bond with and make for great distance to any team looking to start down towards the path of a magician. Braixen tend to be quite popular with people for the unique tricks and their better access to psychic power for offense, and while it might take some time for them to show it, they more than make it look good. Of course, keeping their favorite stick with them for the purpose of fire and mental fortitude also makes them rather unique and worth giving a try sometime if you don't mind having a bit of a fire starter in your vicinity. Delphox are really underrated beasts that can use their intense control over both fire and psychic power to tremendous use and should never be ignored in any sort of fight. They might not have too much to offer in the way of physical power, but their magical abilities more than make up for this and render these fox wizards a force to be wary of if their flame and psychic powers can't be put out and blocked respectively.
With both powerful flames and telepathic abilities at their disposal, the members of the Fennekin family are useful beasts that can put a spell on anyone that dares to underestimate what they can really do in a fight. It might take a bit for them to really master their innate powers, but the results can be more than worth it if you're willing to let them show their stuff in the literal heat of the moment.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure that you keep your distance when they're summoning the flames within them to erupt outwards. It might prove to be an impressive and magical display, but that might not matter much if you get burnt to a crisp in the ensuing vortex that encapsulates all that surrounds them.
Thank you all for watching this video. It always brings me great joy to see others enjoying the work I do to try and make the world of Pokemon and the fascinating creatures that lay inside of it feel as real as they possibly can. If you really enjoy my work, please feel free to leave a comment and subscribe, as I always do my best to respond to any and all comments that are left on my videos. In addition, if you wish to learn more about my work and help support it, you can find links to my Patreon page, as well as email and other contact information to my work on DeviantArt in the video description down below. Furthermore, you can find a link to my Discord server there as well if you'd like to get a first glimpse at what videos are coming up next and converse with other fans of the world of Pokemon. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and have a wonderful rest of your day.